Okay, what's up, everybody? Western Mass Climber says late, says shame. We are 5 minutes late now. Actually, that is pretty late. Sorry about that. I'll take blame for that. I went to the gym and just got walked into my door, so that is totally my fault. But thank you guys for joining, and I will say something. You guys who are here, Celine, Western, whatever other folks are going to kind of make their way in at the beginning of the show, you guys are here for some super, super breaking news. And I'm kind of going to let Justin lead the dance here because it's what's up, MGal4 Productions. Duplessis versus Chimaev. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. That fight has to happen International Fight Week. But anyways, so I'm going to let Justin lead the dance. So just to give you guys a quick rundown, and I'm going to kind of turn it over to Justin. And we're going to try and be as conscientious as possible as talking about this, because this has something to do with his gym. And this has something to do with something that's been grabbing major headlines this week, partially because there's not a huge fight coming up this weekend, I feel like, or even next weekend. So everybody's focusing on Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. And we now have a new feud that is unraveled, and that is Sean Strickland versus Eric Nicksick. And if you guys are not familiar, that's Justin's gym, Extreme Couture. This is where Eric Nicksick is the head coach, I believe, or actually Dennis is the head coach, but Eric Nicksick is the manager of the gym. And Sean Strickland is a fighter out there. He's teammates.
They're like co-head coaches essentially.
Co-head coaches. And so what's up, Tehran? So Tehran, yeah, we're about to get deep on some stuff here, and Justin has had clearance to talk about this, so this is not him sharing stuff out of pocket from the gym, but there's a side to this story that hasn't come out yet in terms of the Strickland versus Eric Nicksick beef. And I think a lot of people are, and you even jumped. Justin made a video jumping to Sean Strickland's defense earlier in the week. So did I. I just didn't really understand. Mine was more from the criticism that other people were giving him. But also I was a little perplexed as to why Eric said what he said public facing on Ariel's show about Sean Strickland. So I'll turn it over to Justin, and Justin's going to give you guys the full breakdown, because there's more to the story from Eric's perspective in particular, and we can just kind of talk it over and get you guys' thoughts and comments. So Justin, I'll let you take it away.
Sure. So just quick little backstory, the history of me and Eric Nicksick. I've known him for 15 years. He's one of the first guys I worked with at Extreme Couture. He wasn't even a coach. He was actually, when Eric came to the gym, he was a civilian. He was there to learn and take classes. I was just taking grappling classes. And Eric, incredible athlete. He was a college football player. So he kind of transitioned. He has that really great, strong mentality. He's very confident in the way he walks, the way he talks. He's an incredible leader at the gym. So, I've known him for a long time. Like I said, 15 years. We've worked together, and this is a personal friend of mine. This isn't a guy that he's in the gym. He is my boss. But I mean, we've partied together before. We hang out. We've hung out before. Like, I've worked for him for 15 years. He's cornered me in a bunch of fights. So I just want to give you the breakdown of our personal relationship, or at least a quick overview. Now, moving forward to this fight, I know how Eric is. And when I saw the things he said about Sean, I was just blown away, because when Sean won the title, I sent you the video this morning, a very emotional felt video from Eric, essentially talking about how he gave Sean a family and gave Sean a purpose and gave him leadership roles at the gym. And he's praising Sean of how great he was or is, and how he's making this turnaround and this and that. Like, really, like I said, you see the video, it's a very emotional video. Now, moving forward, since then, he's lost twice to DDP. The second time, very lackluster performance. Eric goes on the Errol Hawani show, talks about how his performance was uninspiring, and just like it was a total 180 from the original video of when he won the championship. And I just was really caught off guard and kind of like, weird about it. I was like, man, there has to be something between the lines. And then Eric talks about how he might cut ties working with Sean. And me being a fighter, it's, there's been points in my career where I feel that friends, I'm going to say family, but friends, supporters, I lose and they abandon me, man. When you win in MMA, everybody wins. Your coaches win, your fans win, your friends win, everybody wins. But when you lose alone. And I have felt abandoned in losses before. And, when I saw the video of Eric, like I said, talking about Sean's performance, talking about how he doesn't want to coach me anymore, I felt that Eric was essentially abandoning him, man, and it really hit a nerve with me. And as you guys saw in my video, I don't trash talk Eric. If anything, I say how much I love him, and you know, I just didn't agree with what he was saying. Now, a lot of people at the gym, I don't want to say any names because it's nobody's business but theirs. But a lot of people at the gym, high level fighters that you guys would know, I guess, are upset with me going against the grain. You know, pretty much saying fuck Justin for saying the things he did. You know, with that being said, a lot of the gym agrees with me. So it's a 50-50 split. Now, as soon as we posted, I shouldn't say as soon as, but within a reasonable time of posting this video, within a couple hours, I received a lot of praise from guys because they think and they're feeling like I was coming out to go against Eric. And that wasn't what I was trying to do. It says we have a podcast. I have an opinion. I don't have to agree with Eric. I don't, you know, and I don't have to, man. It doesn't, even as a friend, me and Huzefa, listen, Huzefa is a rule follower, guys. Like when we were in Montana, like he didn't even want to let me wanted me to drive his rental because on the agreement, like, hey, you know what I mean? And you know that, and we don't have to agree on this stuff, but we're not going to fight over it. And he doesn't get mad and that's just a silly small example, but we don't agree on a lot of things. Even when it comes to fighting, we don't agree, but we don't fight over it. And we respect each other's opinions. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. Like, hey, respect my opinion, although against the grain. Now, immediately Eric texted me. He sent me the video and told me that, you know, some people are upset about this. I call him immediately because I'm a man. And, you know, so we had a 15-minute conversation and, you know, he goes on, he says, hey man, like, I wish you would have called me before putting this video out because there's internal information that you don't know in the situation. And I kind of assume that.
And Justin, before we go further, let's not talk about the specific numbers just to like keep that private, but you can say absolutely, like generally. Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And I don't want to, and I don't want to talk about specific, even though I was given permission to, but I'm not going to out of the privacy of, you know, argument's sake. I don't, and I don't want to by mistake say the wrong number. And, you know, so I'm just going to keep it broad.
Yeah.
So, you know, going into that fight, they had talked about payment and how much, you know, Eric thought he was deserved to get paid and how much Sean wanted to pay and offered to pay. And I guess there was a payment dispute somewhere along the lines. And again, I'm hoping maybe we can get Eric on the show and he can explain much deeper because he hasn't come out publicly and talked about it. And if we could have him on the 10-7 for the first time to talk about it, I think it would be awesome, you know, especially given me and Eric's history. So he talks about a payment dispute. And then he talks about getting back. And, you know, Sean, I guess, the week after his fight, told Eric that, you know, he didn't even really want to fight. He didn't care that he was fighting for the belt. Essentially, he was fighting for a paycheck and, you know, that he was unmotivated. He didn't want to be there and this and that. And so when Eric also said, like, I only want to work with world champions. Well, I think that text was taken out of context as well. I think what he meant was, and Eric also said he regretted going on the Ariel Helwani. He said to me on the phone that he regretted going on the Ariel Helwani show and saying what he said because of all this backlash he's getting. But I don't think he meant like, I only want to work with world champions because you're kicking 99.9% of the fighters out of the gym because 99.9% of the fighters are never going to win a world championship at the gym, at the pro level in the UFC. You're talking about 1 out of 100 guys, 1 out of 1,000 guys. So for you to say that you only want to work with world champions, I thought was a little ridiculous, but I think it was taken out of context. Yeah. I think he meant that I only want to work with guys that strive to be a world champion, you know, and I'm pretty sure that's what he meant because
I bet you, just to jump in, I bet the way that I am thinking about it now, I think what he meant to say is I want to work with people who want to work with me and want to give it their all. That type of thing. I think it came out the wrong way. Yeah.
And I agree. And there are some times that, you know, being on a podcast, like, you know, you say something. I mean, it happens on this one all the time. Like I'll misspeak. And then after the show, I'll be like, oh shit, you know, I said this, but it's not that, or, you know, I mean, maybe I made it sound different than what it was. And I regret it. And I know he feels that way. He told me he regrets the things he said. He wished he hadn't said those things. Regardless.
Let me just jump in one more thing too, just to give it a little bit more context. I'm going to say this quickly and then I'm going to pass it back over to you. Is I think that one of the issues, maybe why he felt frustrated, is what it sounds like to me, is this dispute over the payment or what was fair or whatnot. It never got resolved. So it didn't get resolved properly. Like they didn't have it's what it sounds like to me. They never fully got it resolved. So it sounds like there was some resentment or anger underneath the surface. and not to excuse it, but saying I think that may have be what caused that frustration to build up and let him vent on the air on Ariel's show, like the biggest show, and that's what caused all this. But anyways, let me turn it back over to you.
So Eric sent Sean a very long text message. It's like 5 paragraphs talking about, payment and so on and so forth. And again, I mean, I know what was talked about, but it's not the public's business. We'll just keep it at this. He sent him a very long text message wanting to talk about, their agreement, and Sean ghosted him. And that obviously would be very upsetting if I'm calling somebody to talk about what I think I deserve and what I'm being paid, and they just don't answer. That would fucking piss me off. And imagine Eric had some emotion about that. And then to go on, Sean saying he didn't want to fight. He was only fighting for a paycheck. Well, you got to look at Eric's personal life. He has a family in Vegas. He has 100 other fighters that he works with. He has a gym that he manages. So for him to take off the time to put into Sean, putting in an 8-week fight camp, working with him for 8 weeks, then going to Australia for 2 weeks, just for a guy that doesn't even care about winning or lose or care about winning, he felt that not only was he shorted financially, he was taking time away from his other fighters that do want to compete seriously, and he wasn't getting paid what he thought he deserved. All right. And I totally understand that, man. And I can understand now why he would come out and say the things he did out of frustration and so forth. So at the end of the day, there is I said in the video, there's things between the lines that I don't know about and the public doesn't know about. I made that clear in the video, and those are the things. It was a financial dispute, and Eric was upset that he's taking time away from people that deserve his time, mostly his family, for X amount of, like, 2 weeks. He was in Australia for 2 weeks. Now, I mean, Eric has an incredible family. He has several daughters. He has 2 daughters, and he has a son. Beautiful wife, beautiful family, and he takes time away from them to come help you win and become a world champion, and you don't even want to be a world champion. So that's kind of how that was. Now, moving forward, the backlash that Eric got is freaking insane. He's had to shut down his Instagram account because of all the hate messages he got. Not only has Eric had to shut down his personal Instagram account, his eldest daughter, who I think she's like 15 or 16, has had to shut her personal Instagram account too, because now that his was shut down, they are attacking his family, and MMA fans are attacking his 15, 16-year-old daughter. Maybe she's older, maybe she's younger. Regardless, he has 2 young girls and he has a young boy, and now he's dealing with all this. And really, me and Eric have our disputes, as any relationship does. But guys, like, I got to go to defense for Eric now, man. Like, there's more to the story than people know. There's more to the story than that he's disclosed, and I'm hoping that if he wants to come out and talk about it, I hope he does it with our show. Whether he does it with our show or a bigger show, it's going to be on him. I'm going to ask him to. But guys, there was things between the lines. The reason Eric said the things he said was over a financial dispute. He didn't. Again, I'm reiterating. He didn't feel that he was, compensated accordingly, and he doesn't want to work with somebody that doesn't want to give it their all. And to an extent, I understand that.
So that's kind of what we want to start off with, guys. Again, this is something that nobody's talked about. I think a lot of people suspected that there was some friction in the relationship. Something was happening that wasn't being disclosed. This is the answer.
And this is the thing, guys. This isn't speculation.
Right.
This is fact. I talked to Eric on the phone for 15 minutes yesterday, and him and I are going to talk for a lot longer today because we have more stuff to talk about, which that stuff doesn't matter. But the fact is, this is straight from the horse's mouth. This isn't, I heard on MMA Joey, I heard on MMA Fat Guru, whatever. This is straight from Eric's mouth to me over the phone. And like I said, when we talk later, maybe I'll. And Eric gave me permission to disclose these details. He said I could fucking expose the text. I'm not going to do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. The success of our show, and guys, I'm about to disconnect from the internet because I got to go. This is my last high school wrestling practice of the year, so bear with me as I drive. But I don't feel comfortable exposing that kind of personal information, especially publicly. But you guys have to understand and believe me when I say that there's more to the story of why Eric said the things he said and has done the things he did. And, I really hope that exposing some of this information it can put him and his family to rest in the sense of the harassment that him and his daughters are getting, man. Like,
Yeah, that's
why?
crazy.
Like, we talk about MMA fans. I'm about to disconnect. Just give.
Yep. No worries. Yeah, the hate that his daughters are getting, if anybody's ever been the victim of some sort of like cyberbullying or whatnot, which I experienced in the last year, it doesn't sound as bad from the outside looking in, and you're like, oh, whatever, it's some messages, somebody harassing you. It's not, it messes with you. And for his daughter to be in high school and have to deal with a bunch of hate messages and have to shut her Instagram down, I don't think people fully understand what that can be like, especially for a female, God forbid, and a high school female. Like, that's insane. People may not realize, they're like, hey, we want to defend Sean and we're gonna attack anything and anyone related to Eric Nicksick. I get that. Like, you're venting your frustration, but you're not realizing the damage that you're causing and creating. You might be scaring his daughter for life, literally causing her trauma that's going to take months or even years to get out of. So I just put it out there. I know it's none of you guys, but it just blows my mind the way that people are so hateful. Oh, one thing, Louisa, can you, for the end of the show, can you pull up like 4 or 5 funny comments? Look, we're going to do the comments thing again. By the way, at the end of the show, I got some really funny and like just scathing comments on our channel. And I think it's just going to continue to grow as the channel gets bigger. So we got to take time and pause and laugh at some of that stuff. It's really good. But anyways, yeah, so that's the story. That's the real deal. You haven't heard it anywhere else. So this is breaking news on our show, but hope you guys appreciate that and let us know what you think about this beef and as it's evolving. And I just hope it gets settled for both parties, whatever it is. If they split, if they go their separate ways, that things settle down and we see Sean back in there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so. and as the situation develops, like I said, I'm going to talk to Eric today at some point, and maybe he'll disclose more information that he's okay with me talking about. Again, I want to have an honest podcast. I want the 10-7 to be an honest show. There is so much gossip and MMA news in the gym that I hear every single day that I do not talk about. It's none of my business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to expose people. I don't want to be these piece of shit podcast guys that catch a rumor or catch information and be like, oh, breaking news. I want our podcast to be the first, and they don't care who it hurts. You know what I mean? They just want to get the numbers and the clicks, and I don't want our podcast to be like that. The only reason I'm disclosing this information is because I was given permission to. And everybody needs to know that. Listen, there are rumors in the gym every single day. I work with Sean Strickland, Eric Nicksick, Ray Sefo, Chris Curtis, Brad Tavares, Dan Ige. Like, I know about injuries that are going on in the gym. I know about gym going on. I know about fighter feuds, and I'll never ever speak out to hurt somebody to benefit this podcast in any circumstance, including even if I don't get along. Listen, me and Eric have had a long-term relationship. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I would never expose him, in against for the betterment of our podcast. And I want everybody watching to know that and understand that.
100%. And I feel the exact same way. One of the reasons why I don't want to get into the numbers too is because if we share the numbers, you'll be able to reverse engineer and calculate what Sean made for the fight, which I don't want that either because that's his information. That's not for us to share. So we are going to leave all that stuff out. Let me go through a couple comments before we go to the next topic. I want to address what some folks have been saying. Wait, hold on. We had some people talking about Duplessis versus Chimaev. Dude, MGAL4 Productions, I just don't agree with this. You said if Chimaev doesn't get Drickus out in round 1, he's effed. It's not true. It's not true. This is on bad information. Chimaev has been working on his cardio. He trains in a different location now. He probably does have fast twitch muscles like Conor McGregor. He probably does burn himself out a little bit more quickly, but he stayed in there for 3 rounds with Kamaru Usman and won. He stayed in there with 3 hours. He looked a little gassed against Gilbert Burns. He still won that fight. I don't see why everybody says it's the first round or he's done. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I do think he finishes him in the first round, by the way. I do.
Yeah, I mean, he could. He definitely could. But I have lost so much money betting against DDP just because, we always say his style is unorthodox. But, I was talking to Dennis Davis, head coach at Extreme Couture last night because we play video games every night. We were talking about DDP and why I don't like to watch him fight. It's just he's so sloppy. and his technique is slow, so sloppy. And it's like, I don't know why. Like, I'm coming around as a DDP fan when he's on the mic. And dude, he's a guy that I'd want to party with, man. Like,
I know, he's cool.
Seems like he seems a fun guy. He seems cool. Turn the corner and like him, but I just wins, and that's fine, and it works for him. But I don't know. I just don't like to watch the sloppy style. I like to watch the clean kickboxing. Like, that's why I like Alex Pereira so much, because his kickboxing is just so clean and calculated. And you have DDP, who is just like, all right, I'm going to throw a 1,000 pieces of shit at the wall and see which one sticks. And that's what he does. He goes crazy. His punches are coming in from up, down, around. And that's the thing. When Alex sets his shots up, like, all right, I'm gonna find my range with my jab. I'm gonna get him to slip to the right with my cross, and then when his head moves back center line, I'm gonna hit him with the hook and knock him out. That's how calculated it is. DDP is like, I'm just gonna throw 1,000 punches in a row, and hopefully a couple of them land and knock him out. And it's kind of funny, and not, like I said, I'm growing around to it. It's really just hard to watch, man. You know, it's like, I just personally like to watch the cleaner style.
All right, 2 questions on DDP. So number 1, is it that it's kind of rolled into one question. Is it that he's actually sloppy, or is it that, because his strikes land, or is it more that his footwork looks clumsy? That's my first question. And my second question is, you're saying it's not calculated, but is there a chance that it actually is calculated? You just can't tell because it's so different.
That's a great question. And maybe just, I don't know, man, clumsy is a great word for his footwork, but again, he lands shots, he lands unorthodox shots like that, just the sloppy style. He's figured it out. It's like it's not capoeira, because it's just so, I guess it's just so out of the box that it's hard to find training partners, because when you go to a boxing gym, you don't train to punch like that. When you go to a Muay Thai gym in Thailand, the best Thai fighters in the world in Thailand, like, that's not how you're trained. So he's doing something that nobody's doing, and it's working for him. And until you can find, like, maybe his footwork is like, okay, I'm going to throw this weird punch and I'm going to step this way. And maybe it is something. Maybe he's doing something in training a certain way that nobody else is. It's all possible. It's definitely all possible. Yeah. But, when I talk to, guys that have been in the game, fighters and coaches, that they all say the same. It's a general census that he's just sloppy. So again, maybe to answer your question, I'm not giving you a straight answer, but to answer your question is, it works for him. Maybe he knows something that, this new evolution of MMA is constantly evolving, constantly changing. Maybe this is the new style of MMA. Like, who knows? Let's see how much more success he has with it.
Well, I think regardless, and want to give him his props. I do like him on the mic. I like his fighting style. I find it all entertaining. Hamzat, I think, is going to steamroll him. I just don't see how he's going to stop the takedown with Hamzat's speed, how low he gets, how he level changes so quickly and so low. I don't think Dricus is that fast. The advantage that Dricus has is power. So if they keep it on the feet, I think blow for blow, his strikes will be more powerful. But with that constant, he's never going to take Hamzat down. And Hamzat has that constant threat. And using that threat, I think he'll be able to land shots, eventually get on his back and just submit him. I don't think he's going to be able to stop it. That's my two cents. I don't see what everybody thought Hamzat was going to beat DDP before DDP beat Strickland. And then now people are changing their mind, and it makes no sense to me, because beating Strickland, it has nothing to do with beating Hamzat. They have 2 completely different styles, almost polar opposite styles. So that's my 2 cents. And I can't wait for this fight. But no, it will happen in the first round. He will beat DDP in the first round, but I don't think it has to happen in the first round. Okay, let's go to a couple other comments, and then we're going to keep moving. Rampage said he's going to slap Anthony Smith. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Somebody, and then MGL4 Production says Rampage should fight Smith. Yeah, that'd be actually pretty entertaining. But I think Anthony Smith would win that fight.
I think he gets killed. Smith would kill him. Here's the thing. Let me tell you about Rampage. I know Rampage really well. He's very close with some very close friends of mine. I'm not going to say him and I are close. I've only met him a handful of times, but some of my best friends are very close with him. Rampage, even in the UFC, was one of the laziest training fighters in the history of the UFC. He is a super athlete. He's super strong. He is super powerful. And that's where, and he's athletic. So he was able to get away with a lot of stuff by pure strength and athleticism. I can almost guarantee you, Rampage Jackson probably hasn't trained in 10 years. Anthony Smith has fought recently. Anthony Smith dog walks Rampage Jackson in a fight.
Yeah, apparently they have talked things over and smoothed things over, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But all right, let's keep moving on. So actually, no, that is the next topic. Let's get into it. Anthony Smith, Rampage Jackson beef. So let me give you guys the backstory. I made a video about the entire ordeal. I think I posted it yesterday, so guys, check it out. Just past 1.1K views, which is not too bad. But give it a couple more if you want to hear it in detail. Bottom line, Anthony Smith spoke out against Rampage Jackson for their interview of Bryce Mitchell, for them posting the interview and pulling it down. He really was attacking Bear, not Rampage. But he mentioned the fact that he didn't like that Rampage Jackson, he felt like, was making fun of him. Rampage responded and gave him a scathing response and said Anthony Smith is whatever. He talked a lot of smack to him. He said, yo, I sent you a message and you left me on red and you never responded to me. So he said, I'm going to slap you if I ever see you, all this stuff. It got crazy. And I think the main thing I wanted to talk about it today, which we already addressed, was who would win in a fight. Because my video kind of goes into detail on this whole ordeal, but you feel like Anthony Smith would dog walk Rampage, and yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, Rampage is definitely bigger than Anthony Smith at this point. But let's say even if Rampage had like 40, 50 pounds on Anthony, do you still think Anthony would smoke him?
We're talking about gas tank issues, man. Rampage is lazy. He was known for gassing on the UFC, especially at the end of his career. So imagine, when he's training, he's getting ready for UFC title fights, he's gassing out. Imagine how hard he's going to gas out. I mean, don't get me wrong. He could knock out Anthony Smith in 30 seconds or a minute. But I think if it goes past a minute, or if Anthony Smith gets him to the ground, the fight's over, man. Anthony Smith has competed recently. His body is still in shape. He's competed last year. I think he fought twice last year. He still knows the feeling. When you take a long layoff off, man, even when I took a year, when I got neck surgery and I had almost a year off, competing, getting back was like, oh shit. And again, I'm not saying Rampage can't knock him out. Of course, he could knock him out with one punch in 30 seconds. But if he gets him to the ground, or he doesn't knock him out, doesn't have success right away, Rampage is in for a lot of trouble, and he's going to get embarrassed. And he's old too. Rampage is in his 50s.
48.
I think he's in his late.
He's 48.
He's almost 50. He's almost 50 years old, man. Look at Mike Tyson at 65. Rampage Jackson and Mike Tyson would be a good fight. That's a fight that I would pay to watch.
Okay, so we got a couple comments. Tybet says, bro was fat. He's talking about Rampage was fat and lost hella weight. So just FYI, and Tehran also said that too. Rampage has actually lost some weight. I think he was training to box Shannon Briggs. That's what Tybet says. So just FYI, I guess he was doing a little bit of training, but those are all well taken points. Okay, I got something crazy to show you. Hold on. I don't know if you saw this. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Did you see Conor McGregor posted a new video?
No.
Okay, you're gonna die. I'm not gonna tell you anything. Hold on. I don't know if he's completely lost his mind or if he's a genius, and this is the most incredible thing ever that he's gonna make a ton of money on. But look at this. Okay, this is nuts. Ready? Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, an amazing day for Greenback Records. I'm super proud and excited to announce the signing of the biggest girl band since the Spice Girls. Introducing Sweet Love.
Woo!
Over here, we have the beautiful Venice.
Hey guys.
We have the beautiful Honey.
Hi.
Gorgeous Jasmine.
Hey.
And gorgeous May.
Hi.
We have new music coming soon, real soon. Stay tuned and follow us on @SweetLove.
Woo!
Let's go, Sweet Love. Let's go, Greenback Records.
So apparently, wait a minute. This is insane. So basically, he started a record label, I guess, called Greenback Records, and he signed a girl pop band that's supposed to be bigger than the Spice Girls. I'm at a loss for words.
Well, let me tell you this. I've never heard of them, and I watched Spice World when I was in the 90s when I was a kid. So
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be any girl pop band bigger than the Spice Girls. But you know what this goes to? Your theory of Conor McGregor being broke. Now he's grasping at straws, starting a record label, starting off with a female group that nobody's probably ever heard of, or at least I haven't heard of. It sounds like he's desperate. He might be in financial despair, and he's grasping at straws at anything he can try to get to make some money. Man, it sounds pretty desperate.
It's crazy. Like, what is he? I mean, I just don't understand. I guess, what is he? It just seems so bizarre. I like getting into bare knuckle makes a lot of sense to me. That's the fight game. That's what he knows. And then this switch into me, I don't know, but maybe he's a fan of pop music that we don't, I don't know, dude. This is
Come on,
crazy.
man. You think he's a fan of pop music, a
I
girl
don't
pop music?
know. I'm so confused. Yeah, maybe.
And then to make the claim that, oh, they're bigger than the Spice Girls, like nobody's bigger than the Spice Girls. Come on, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. And that's fucking Spice World, baby. Come on.
This is so crazy. I don't need. This is the craziest sport on the planet. What other sport has the top athlete in the sport doing all these crazy things? One day he's dropping just like crazy racist tweets. The next he's signing a girl band. Then he's doing Forged Irish Stout. Then he's this is insane. This is a pure soap opera. I don't even know.
Well, here's the thing, from the UFC comparative to other other organizations. Excuse me, guys.
Yeah.
Other organizations is that it's free. They give freedom of speech. In the NFL, they have a lot of restrictions on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, it might be too loud here. They have a lot of restrictions on things, and UFC doesn't. As in, you get freedom of speech. Bryce Mitchell come on. Oh, Hitler was a good guy until he got on meth. Like what? Like talk about how stupid that is. And then Dana White's asked about it, and he's like, look, I don't have any restrictions on what these guys say. It's the freedom of speech. You look at the NFL, if you say something against the organization, you're getting fined, you're getting fired. So that's really the difference maker between all the organizations, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB. Like, you have rules you have to follow when it comes to your speech. Now, you can appreciate the UFC because they're taking, your United States Amendment and giving the freedom of speech to all the fighters. And I think that's why the UFC is one of the best organizations in the world.
100%. Let's go. Invest in the UFC. I have invested. I love the UFC. Okay. By the way, I forgot to show this comment. I don't know if Barat is still on. Barat said, I think this is an interesting point. He said, who cares how people, he's talking about DDP. Who cares about how people usually train? That doesn't mean it's the most effective style. It doesn't mean DDP is sloppy either. He goes on to say, so tired of people using these terms for a style just because you don't usually see it. I mean, I guess that's a fair point. It is, though. It is kind of.
I disagree.
Yep. Go ahead.
I mean, Barat, dude, like, no offense. And I'm a professional MMA fighter. I work with professional coaches. If my coaches tell me, if you're taught to walk, it's like, why do we walk forward? Why don't we walk sideways? If people started walking sideways, you'd be like, wow, that's weird. Why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? We're taught a way to do something. We're taught a certain way to box. Our footwork, everybody's taught a certain way. And when it's changed and when it's unorthodox and it's just kind of wild, sloppy it's the term that every coach uses. And for a civilian to say like, oh, I'm tired of hearing it is sloppy. It's just because it's sloppy doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's sloppy to traditional tradition. Go to Thailand and start charging people. Just 1, 2, like running down the fucking line. Just start off in your corner, sprint at them, just start throwing punches. He looks like a street fighter. If you didn't know he was a world champion, the way he fights like somebody that would in the street. I don't care what anybody says. To me, it's sloppy.
Fair enough. Okay.
And to anybody that knows anything, and to anybody that trains at a high level is going to call it sloppy as well. It's not just me.
And I think the reason why you can say that and why that makes sense is because a lot of the traditional techniques, the way we're typically taught in Muay Thai, it's all from physics and from biology. There's a reason why, for example, when you throw, like, this is just a small example, but you throw a 1-2 the way we do, it's because that's the natural momentum of your body. I think the point that Justin's making is the way that DDP fights and moves is antithetical to how we normally move and operate in typical swings of momentum that logically makes sense for the body to flow. So he's doing things in these ways that wouldn't normally make sense from the physics perspective. Is that kind of what you're saying? And so
absolutely. Yeah, it's like his feet aren't always planted to generate the most power. His footwork isn't always there to generate the most speed. It's sloppy, but it works. I'm not hating on the guy. I don't care to watch it. Not because I just when you, again, going back to traditional, like, I don't know. It's just, I like watching traditional fighting. I do like when guys get their own style in a sense. And I like DDP and I really like him on the mic, especially in this last couple months and last year since he beat Sean the first time. He's really grown on me. But again, it's sloppy. He can't, like, I guarantee I can't guarantee because he's bigger than me. But if him and I were the same size and he throws one of his sloppy strikes and I throw one of my clean strikes, I'm going to be way more powerful than him. You know what I mean? Or somebody his weight. It's just the way, again, you said it, physics. Like you
Yeah.
can't, I mean, there are anomalies, of course. There's always like this, this one guy that just has crazy power doing something crazy. But at the end of the day, having the right footwork is the right physics to generate the most power and speed in that moment. And he just doesn't do it properly. But again, it works for him. So who am I to say that, it's better or worse? It works for him. He's the world champ. But
Yeah.
until there's more, it's just like when Lyoto Machida was the champion, and Steve Wonder Boy was coming up. They're like, oh my God, the karate style. It's like, guys, you can't. There's always anomalies, and like karate doesn't work for MMA. There's been like 3 guys in the last 10 years and there's probably 3, and I can only think of 2, Lyoto Machida and Wonder Boy, that can make a traditional karate style work. And I know there's probably a couple others, but those are the 2 that I think off the top of my head. And people are like,
Michael
oh my
Venom
God,
Page.
karate's so good. Karate's so good. Michael
Yeah.
Venom Page. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. But there's a couple of them. Those are anomalies. Karate freaking sucks for MMA. And most people cannot make it work. Only a couple ever have. And I remember,
Right.
like I said, when the order was choose, everyone's like, dude, karate's awesome. No, karate sucks. And there's been a couple people to figure it out to make it work. And that's like DDP. I don't recommend anybody training to do the techniques he does because it's so sloppy. Like he's made it work. He's an anomaly until 100 other guys start fighting like him and win a world championship. It's sloppy technique and it doesn't work. It doesn't work for
Fair.
everybody. It works for one person.
And by the way, Barat did respond and say, okay, now I get what you mean by sloppy. That's fair. So there you go.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you,
guys
buddy.
are now on the same
And
page.
and also new viewer to the show. We love the feedback, and I love having good discussions. I don't want it ever to sound like I'm talking down to you. I just I like to give my opinion, and I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the feedback. And especially if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. Like we're not like, oh, F this guy because he disagrees. No, that's the whole point of doing a podcast and the whole point of having these conversations, because people are going to disagree with me, and I want to have that open relationship with all our community to have these discussions publicly.
Yep. And Barat also follows up. He goes, yep. When I think of sloppy, he just thought he's like, hey, we had different definitions. I think in non-effective, we use the terms differently. Boom. I think we come to a meeting.
It's a very It's a very, very effective sloppy style. How's that?
Yeah. There you go. All right, we got one topic left, and I know Justin, you got to go to training.
Yeah, I'm at wrestling practice.
So here's the last question I had for you.
Coach?
Oh yeah, go ahead. I saw a interview of Henry Cejudo today where he was talking about Dominick Cruz's last injury, and now he's pulled out of his final fight, and he's announcing that he's completely retiring. I believe he dislocated a shoulder and something like that very severely, and they just couldn't put it back together in time, and he felt like, you know what, this is it. This is my time. I'm out. Henry Cejudo went on to make the comment that he's like, somebody asked him, do you think Dominick has trained the correct way throughout his career? And he's like, if I was friends with him, I probably would have the conversation with him and say, he probably hasn't trained correctly. That's why he's been injured so many times. And I thought that was a very interesting statement, but I thought it was perhaps unfair since Cejudo doesn't know Dominick Cruz. He hasn't been there with him to train. So I want to get your thoughts. Do you think, is that a fair thing for Henry Cejudo to say? Or you as a fighter, do you feel like, dude, what are you talking about? Maybe Dominick Cruz has a lot of pre-existing conditions. Maybe he trains just fine. Like, is that an overly presumptuous statement to make on the side of Henry Cejudo?
I mean, it's definitely a possibility, but it doesn't mean that's for sure. I'm not going to say it's over presumptuous, but you got to think Dominick Cruz. I don't think it's accurate, and because you get injured once by overtraining, okay, that happens. You get injured twice by overtraining, it's like, okay, that happens. But you need to have if you're overtraining, you need to have a coaching staff that says, hey guys, chill out. Like, you guys are overtraining, and Dominick Cruz, is older now. I mean, it could be as simple as, a genetic deficiency. Like, he just might have weak joints. He just might have weak tendons. I mean, not like, you look at me and, I'll be honest, it's especially even late in my career. And I don't know, like, my genetics are kind of freaky, because like when I get injured, and I mean, even severe injuries, broken bones, torn ligaments, like I recover so fast. I had neck surgery and I did a wrestling tournament, an international wrestling tournament, 3 months post neck surgery. And like, that's the doctor was like, before I went, you know, to go to Spain, this is, you know, 2 years ago, before I went to go to Spain, I go to the doctor to clear, and he was just blown away. He's like, all your muscles are, you're 90% right now. Everything in your neck is 90%. When I broke my hand, like, dude, I have an awesome picture. I could send it to you right now and if I send you a picture, can you screen share it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I broke my hand, the doctor, he's like, all right, you're probably gonna be done for 6 months. I took a fist fight 3 months after my hand surgery. You know what I mean? Like I just, some people heal faster than others. Some people are more injury prone. You know, I had this guy I went to high school with. His name's Brian Peterson. I mean, gosh, we used to make fun of him because it was like he farmed ringworm on his body because the guy always had ringworm and he showered 2-3 times a day. It's just he was more prone to and more susceptible to getting it, man. And it's I just think that I got one. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
I'm sending them to your text message.
Sure.
But you know, it's just I think some people are just more susceptible to injuries, and you know, that's just the way it is. And unfortunately for Dominick Cruz, that, you know, it just hasn't been able to work out. So you look at the X-ray of the broken bone. The bone was on top, and then they separate it. And when you look at the second picture, you actually see the inside of my bone because it's sticking up towards the doctor when he cut it open, and it's a really cool picture. And then he straightened it out and he put the metal strip on. And you know, I have a bare knuckle fight coming up, and the doctor says that my bones have healed stronger around the metal plate than he ever thought, and he's totally fine with me going and fighting bare knuckle, and he doesn't think my bones are going to break as long as I don't hit somebody in the top of the head.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna show one of these. I think one of these is not.
No, you got to show the second one, bro. That one's the good one. That one's.
Well, I think it's gonna be a problem for YouTube. I can't. Okay, but look, I'll show this one. This is crazy, guys. Look at this Look at the break here. That's insane.
It looks like it's off to the left side, but it's actually sitting on top. And when you look at the next picture I sent him, the bone you see is that the inside of my bone, because it's sticking up towards the lights, and it's actually the center of the bone.
Ugh, I can't show, dude. We're gonna get in trouble.
Hey,
okay,
check my Instagram and I'll post it, guys.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, now let's go through some comments just for fun, and we're gonna close out the show. Here we go. Okay, somebody said antiviral. That's the video that I just dropped yesterday. That's pretty good. Okay, here we go. I said Sean Strickland is getting mercilessly attacked. This is unfair. What a stupid, spelled stupid wrong. Hey, it's all good. What a stupid title for a video. He's a chump. Did
he spell it with 2 O's?
Yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or not. That may have been intentional. I don't know. But he said Sean Strickland's a chump, a tomato, a racist, a misogynist, a mascot, and a hoax. I mean, dude, what does that have to do with anything? Even if you feel that way, he can be being attacked unfairly. That was my thought. But these are, again, the type of comments. Okay, this is the crazy one. And by the way, I don't know if Pern is on here because Pern responded and got my back, had made like a huge response video to this guy. But this is my video about, again, defending Sean Strickland, which seems to have gotten a lot of negative hate. And I quoted Brendan Schaub, who I felt like agreed with me, as well as Dominick Cruz. And he goes, oh, he quoting me. I agree with Brendan Schaub. Dicey. Brendan Schaub, according to him, eloquent, beautifully pointed out. Really? I mean, it was Brendan Schaub gets too much hate. I thought he did a good job. I thought he made a really good case. He's an actual fighter. He's been in there. So I'm not going to crap on this guy who commented, because thank you for commenting. We actually appreciate it, regardless of like all the weird stuff you said. But I mean, dude, you got to give it up to the fighters. Come on. Like Brendan Schaub, Dominick Cruz, their points, especially Dominick Cruz, man. Who else is more insightful and more knowledgeable about the sport than him, in my opinion? So I think that's where you got to look. Don't even take I'm telling you, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just a fan. I'm just trying to piece things together as best I can, but you got to listen to the pros. Anyways, just a little fun segment. We'll keep doing it. Let me know if you guys like the little comment section at the end. Last thing, Kamzat Shemaev, he's been commenting a lot in our videos. He goes, just caught up with the live. Everything about Sean's situation makes more sense now. Shout out to Justin for giving us a BTS bits breakdown. What does BTS mean? I don't even know. Oh, behind the scenes. There we go. Okay, last 2 comments. Justin, are you getting ready for war? Yeah, we got 3 weeks. And for the fight, it's going down.
Man, It's been. I sparred last night. I feel good. I feel sharp. I got a little glaze over on me. It's I'm feeling good. I was 172 pounds after training. I'm only, it's at 160. My knuckles are being conditioned. I'm feeling strong. I'm excited, man. I'm nervous. I'm a lot more nervous and afraid. I'll be straight up. It's like this one thing. It's like early in my career, like I was really always afraid to talk about my emotions and talk about the fear and, the fear of the unknown and the fear of injury. And, because we have this label as this inhuman person, in my Sean video, I reiterate, I don't know, 75 times that we are human, man. And, talking to guys like Mads Burnell and talking about the fear of no matter what, you could be fighting a chump. You're still going out there in your underwear and you don't know, you could get knocked out by anybody, man. And, I'll be honest, I'm scared. I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not sure how my skills are going to translate into bare knuckle. Am I going to get my teeth knocked out? Am I going to get my nose broken? I'm going to get cut open. It's just, I'm going to get messed up. It's just how severe is it going to be, man? And like I said, guys, I'm humble enough and I'm man enough to say that I'm scared. I'm excited, but I'm scared, and I'm scared of the unknown. And March 7th, and that's the thing. That's the beauty of being an MMA is, like it'd be easy for me to make up an excuse, say, oh, I'm injured, I can't do it, to not have to face my fear. But that's what I love about fighting is you're facing your fear, man. You're facing the fear of the unknown. You're facing the fear of being embarrassed. You're facing the fear of being permanently damaged physically. And I love it. I love it. As scary as it is, I just love it, man. And that's why I love fighting. It's just that fear and overcoming the fear. It's like when you go skydiving for the first time. I'm afraid of heights. So for my birthday, I bought myself, or I've been by myself. Me and a friend went skydiving, and I was terrified. But afterwards, I was like, wow, I faced my fear, and I've done it a couple times since then. And for my son's 18th birthday, he's afraid of heights. We're going to do the same thing, man. And life is about facing your fears and overcoming and persevering. And that's what fighting is all about for me. It's facing my fears and overcoming, and whatever happens in the fight happens. And, I'm excited about it.
I agree. This is what I said. This is what I've said time and again, why I love fighting, because it's for all of us, it's about overcoming our fears. But this is one of the most acute examples of overcoming your fears, facing them head on and getting into a cage and doing what you got to do. And that's why us regular people can take inspiration from it time and again. So anyways, good luck. Thank you guys for joining today. We had a pretty big audience. We really appreciate it as the show continues to grow. Thank you for all the new subs this week as well. We are on our way to 2,000. Still a ways to go. 1158, I believe, is the live count. But
we're freaking cruising.
Yeah, we're cruising. MGAL4 Productions says going to be fun. Celine says have a nice weekend. MGAL4 Productions, we'll see you on March 7th. I already got my travel booked. Missoula, Montana. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.